music.
Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Welcome to the award-winning Laugh Support Podcast. I'm your host, Colson, here with my best friend, Michele, with one L, VanDusen, who happens to be the sister of Trisha and the friend of Rhonda Colson, Corey. Hi, Michele. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm trying to get some plans together for my family and working out passports and figuring out a summer vacation. And while Michele, and normally I think you're an amazing person, even though, you know, sometimes you're a fashion critic. You, my friend,
Yes.
you don't ever need to be a travel agent. Okay. Don't ever be a travel agent, because I am telling you, the last message you sent me about where to go and what to do to travel. This is Michele, y'all. This is Michele. Oh my gosh, you guys want to travel somewhere? Oh, that's super cool. You know what? You should go to Mexico. You know where you should go in Mexico? Wait a minute. Wait. No, do you have to have a passport in Mexico? Yeah, you got to have a passport in Mexico. What about Hawaii? You don't need a passport for Hawaii. Hawaii is really good. Long air flight, though. So Oklahoma, if you come to Oklahoma, you can come see me. Have you been to the Grand Canyon? You should go to the Grand Canyon. How about Nashville? It's just down the road for you. Texas is awesome. I'm like, you're fired. You're fired. That's how I feel. Like, you just really climbed into my brain and read the thoughts in my head of what goes through. My family cannot plan a trip, not ahead of time. Oh, it's impossible to plan it ahead of time. Like, literally every year at fall break, the teachers I work with, they would be like, hey, are you going somewhere on fall break? And I was like, no, not until the day of fall break. And then the day of fall break, my husband will go, hey, so I booked us a flight to Vegas, and we're going to go here, and we're going to do, And it would be like, and you have 6 hours to pack for 7 days. Like, that's how he does. But he gets stressed out because we never plan ahead. And that's how my brain works. And Michele, you just made my, like, I had to take Tylenol and just lay down after that phone call. So what are you doing?
You're welcome. Well, so let me ask you. So when you went like bear hunting in Alaska, or was that like a last minute, hey, you got 3 minutes to pack kind of thing?
No. Now, Alaska and a trip that we took to the Grand Canyon and all of that, that was planned in advance, because we flew into Anchorage, we picked up an RV, we drove to Seward, Alaska, and we went halibut fishing. And then each day, like, he had it planned out, like laid out, planned out. That makes me comfortable. All during the spring, I was like, we need to go and figure out our vacation. And we also need to get Trey a passport and, you know, all that stuff. And now it's like a part of it. Okay. So part of it is everybody's schedule's weird. And so it's not easy always for us to plan ahead of time. But no, when we were bear hunting, big plans, because we had to bring a gun, like rifles and handguns and stuff with us. And
because they don't have those in Alaska that you could just rent. Like, you can't rent that stuff?
A gun? I don't think so. I don't know. Fortunately, we had friends on the military base there. And so some of the weapons when we went bear hunting were provided by our friends. But it's in,
like, my husband, when he's gone dove hunting, like the guy there, you know, everything's inclusive. So like, he has the guns, he has the ammo, you know, he's got the doves, you know, that they release and stuff. So
Yeah, this wasn't like a chartered trip. This was like we were meeting
Oh.
up with some friends in Alaska who bear hunt, and they were basically going to take us where they hunt. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah, and oh my gosh, when we got there, my husband, we went to Walmart and we were getting supplies for the RV, and he had on the list bear spray. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, mess with the blonde, bear spray, like
I'm gonna
hairspray.
stay clothed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Bear spray. I was like, what is that? And he's like, seriously, it's a thing. And I was like, you just spray them. You just spray bears. And they're like, oh, don't spray me. And you're okay. And he's like, no, it's like pepper spray, just on steroids. Like it literally is. Some people don't carry weapons. They carry bear spray. And apparently it'll stop a grizzly bear. I don't want to
Really?
find out. Like, I don't
Really?
want to find out if it works or not.
See,
Exactly.
I
Really?
I thought you were supposed to just carry 2 sticks and just tap along or something. Like, I saw that on, Parent Trap, where they just tapped
You just
sticks,
tap the stick in
right?
the bear stick
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I
Mm.
saw that.
I think I'd take my chance
That's
with bear spray before I went the sticks. But no, we did plan those ahead of time, and now we're just doing another, last second, let's plan some kind of crazy something. So we'll see what happens. But hey,
So I might see you in a few weeks then. That's what I'm hearing.
who knows?
I
Like,
might
I don't
see
know.
you.
I don't know. I just want to relax. I just want to relax because we have been on the road a lot lately, right? There's been some
Yes.
major road trips. Now, you and I,
Yes.
the closest road trip we've had is you came to Bowling Green and then we rode to Nashville together.
To Nashville. I thought we were going north, but apparently that's south of you.
Yes, it is south
Apparently
of
it's
me.
Kentucky and then Tennessee.
And you really haven't ridden with me anywhere since. So, what's
But
that about,
I
Michele?
I'm ready now though because I have CBD patches that I can wear.
Oh,
So I can travel with you now. I have to put like 5 on when you drive, but other than
yes.
that, I'm good.
Okay, so let's talk about our friend Tina,
Oh,
because
yes.
Michele, you just did a big road trip. All right, so tell us who Tina is, and tell us how you ended up in the car with her for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
And hours. So Tina Brazeal, she is a comedian that lives near the Dallas area in Texas. And the CCA retreat was happening in Indiana.
Yes.
Franklin, I believe. So she and her husband were going to travel from Texas. They were going to drive to Franklin and go to the conference. And then further discussion between her and her husband. They're like, no, let's not make this our family trip. How about we do it something else? So she still wanted to come, but she wasn't. Her husband's like, I'd feel better if you had someone with you. So she said,
Mm.
hey, Michele, do you have a ride yet? I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, fantastic. Is it okay if I pick you up and you just ride with me to India? I'm like, and will the return trip too? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, all right, I could do it. Yeah. So I had my Uber ride, my ride
Yes.
share. So Tina came and picked me up. And so we were talking about, because that's 4 hours for her before she even gets to my house. And then we have another 9 to go.
Right.
So I sent her a text. I'm like, hey, would you like to come stay the night, Thursday night before we start traveling? And she's like, yeah, that's a great idea. That way it cuts off 4 hours during our trip.
Yeah.
Well, but then she's like, oh, my back's hurting. I'm going to get a hotel room. So she stayed at a hotel. I'm like, you don't want the couch? Because the couch is available. She's like, nope.
Mm.
So she stayed at home, which was really smart for her because then she got to be completely refreshed. She picked me up, put all my stuff in the car.
Yeah.
And I put my patches on and off we went. And we're driving and we're in Missouri. And I did have to let her know every so often, like, the speed limit's such and such. And she's like, I know. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, drivers love it. Like, drivers
Right.
love it when you tell them what speed they should drive.
Yeah.
I always love that when you tell me, Michele, what speed I should
Well, you're
drive.
welcome. Well, because when you're getting close to the Branson area, it goes from 70. Well, here Oklahoma it was 75, and then you cross into Missouri, it goes down to 70. So Texas is like 85, 150 miles per hour. I'm not exactly sure. And then 70, 75 in
Well,
Oklahoma.
and that's what it is in Bowling Green and Nashville. I don't know that they
Yeah.
posted those signs yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is, right? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 85 in
Mm.
between her house and mine. And so it's 75 to 85 in Oklahoma, depending on what part of the highway you're on. And then once you cross the border, it's 70. But when you get near the Branson signs, it drops down to 60, sometimes 55. And so if you don't see that sign or if you don't catch it,
They're ready to pop you.
Yes. And so that's when I was just like, hey, just, I don't know if you saw that. Because sometimes, if semi trucks are going past you or whatever, you don't see the sign in time. Anyway,
Yes.
so we were talking about eating. And on a trip, I like to, if we're going to eat something very light, just drive through basically. Anyway, we stopped off at Lambert's. Lambert's is a
With the
place where they
throwed
throw,
rolls.
yes, they throw the
Yes.
rolls at you. So that probably wasn't the best idea to stop
Yeah, that's
off,
light.
for
Yeah,
a sit
yeah.
down. So our 9 hours was now going to be a 10-hour trip. That's fine. The meal was totally worth it. Totally worth it. It was so good. It was so, so good. And then, so now we're continuing driving and, we're out of the whole 60, 55 area. Now we're zipping along. And then there's all these new billboard signs that says, like there's this place you could stop for candy and some fudge and stuff. And then a little bit farther along, there's a town or a billboard that talks about Uranus. Best fudge in Missouri comes from Uranus. We're like, what?
Nice. Yes.
Sure enough. So we stopped there, and it's a tourist attraction.
Did Tina want to stop there, or were you so excited that she had no choice but to stop at Uranus?
We decided that it was we had to, because she's never traveled this direction. Like most of their trips have been to the west, never to the east.
Yes.
So she's like, "Oh, I've never been here." And and that's the other reason why we stopped at Lambert's, was because she saw it on the Travel Channel or something, and she's like, "Oh, someday we should eat there."
Yes.
So that's why we stopped. It was
They have those. They have those in Tennessee, I think. I think they for sure have them in Florida. I remember taking my son Ty when he was probably 4 or 5 years old, and that was like a big highlight for him, was to go to that restaurant and then throw in the rolls. And we even took a picture in front of the restaurant because it was just that, like, it was just a place you had to stop.
Yeah, and there was a baseball team there. They're like, woohoo! And so it was so good. It was so good.
So how long have you known Tina? Here's my question. Because like even my best friend, I would struggle to be in the car with them that long. Like when I drive, I'm like, sit down, shut up, put your seatbelt on, leave me alone. We're getting to where we're getting. I think you know that, Michele. You've ridden with me enough that like I get us there as quick as I can. I only stop to pee if like my eyeballs are floating. We're just, I don't like to mess around when I'm on the road. I want to get where I'm going. So how long have you and Tina known each other? How much time have you guys spent together before you spent this time in the car? I honestly don't know the answer to this.
Okay. So first off, I just want to say Tina is a really safe driver, and I could drive with her again. Like I was very comfortable with her. Okay. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Okay.
I met her at the CCA conference in Dallas.
Okay.
What was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah. So that's the first time you met her was 2019.
Yep. Her and her husband. And then we have been on a writers group just virtually.
Yes.
For like the last year or so. So that's it. There really is no other. I did invite her to come do some time, even though I've never seen her do comedy. But she did do some in Dallas, but I missed because there were showcases that year.
I got to see her. I'm pretty sure I saw her do her set in the winery.
And I missed it.
Super cute. Really, really, really good material. Yeah.
Very funny. Very funny. Yes. So I did invite her to come to a show I was doing in Henrietta or in Ardmore, and I was going to give her like a 5-minute spot or something like that, but she wasn't able to work that time in. Anyway, so this was our first trip and our real first opportunity to really get to know each other. And let me tell you, there's some secrets. No, I'm just
yes. Okay. I'm leaning in. She'll never listen to this. Tell me.
She'll never listen to this. No, it was
Because I have a
she's
list of
amazing.
secrets she's revealed to me about you, and I'd like to go ahead and start on page 1. Number 1, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. If I would have known, though, I so would have. I would have so totally had her like tell me some stuff you learned about Michele on the road trip. Okay, so back to Uranus. So we're in Uranus. We're getting fudged
in Missouri. Yeah.
Oh,
we're getting
and then you,
fudged.
Marco, you sent a message to me and Rhonda, and you were like,
did.
"We're in Uranus." And we're like,
Yeah.
of course. I looked at
You
Rhonda. I'm
love
like,
that.
of course they stopped. Of course, Michele
So-
couldn't pass Uranus.
Anyway, it's a bunch of candy there and stuff. And so I got this really awesome cup,
Oh, I
Look,
love
it
cowtails.
right? And I just and they kept them in this is a display cup. They were selling, but you had to ask, it wasn't on display that the display cups were for sale, but I got to buy one. And so I bought one. And I love the fact that the handle is a little tail.
It's
I
a
mean, it's
tail.
just yeah. And so I bought a bunch of I would show you, but I ate them. Taffy and all sorts of things because I was going to be staying with you all. And I when we got to the conference, the retreat. And so I even got candy necklaces. And
We didn't
I
get
could-
our necklaces. We never got our
Because-
necklaces.
No, because when we got there, I couldn't find my bag. It was like in the back of her truck somewhere, and then
Yeah.
other things got put in front of it, and so I couldn't find my bag again. I'm like, where'd it go? So I was a little disappointed, but when I see you again and we
I
do
get
a
a
whole
candy.
girls thing, maybe depends on where I stop because these will not be around by that time. I'm just saying, I may eat them by then,
Gotcha. Yeah.
or my little neighbor girl.
Well, it was so good that you brought snacks because one of the things, okay, so the CCA retreat, there was a road trip, right? And
Yes.
then, so after, when you guys got there, you met myself and Rhonda and a whole bunch of other comedians
Mhm.
at a show for Crossroads Church in Westfield,
Westfield, Indiana.
which was
Mhm.
what was so cool is like Rhonda had flown in and I picked her up in Nashville and we did a show here on Friday night. And then
in Kentucky, right?
in Kentucky. And then
Yeah.
everybody was headed different, we're coming from different directions. The next show that we were doing was in Westfield and you were on the lineup for that show. So we got to do comedy together for the very first time. Like we
Yes.
haven't done a show together at all, ever.
Not,
And
yeah, so that
I
was so fun.
it was super fun when I finally finished my set. So I was literally coming off of as our previous episode talked about, I was coming off of my mom passing away, my son graduating high
Yeah.
school, and then I was on the planning committee for this retreat, for the CCA retreat, and so everything was going so fast, just fast. And
Yeah.
then producing a show here in Bowling Green and having guests over and trying to pack and get on the road and all of that stuff. By the time I got to the show you and I were doing together, I hadn't had no time to focus or even get my set together, which had
Yeah.
me very rattled. It had me very like, I need a quiet moment, which we know is not going to happen once you get to the venue. Like I met this beautiful woman named Sharon and she taught me how to tie a scarf.
Wow.
In the back of my mind, I'm like, I need to go work on my set. But then I'm like, okay, I also love people in it. And this was a beautiful woman and it's really cool. She showed me a cool trick. I'll show you one day. How to tie a scarf. And I had family that was coming to the show. My sister in Indiana.
I love
This was
her.
yes, Lesley,
Lesley!
who, by the way, with Michele coming to my family and the funeral and all of that stuff, she's now their favorite comedian and not me. So that's great. Even my cousin Dena, who got to come to the show that we didn't talk about on the last episode. Dena's my
we
cousin
didn't.
who is blind, and I've told Michele stories about Dena and how fantastic Dena and Susie are, my cousins, and Michele.
Shout out to Dena.
Shout out to Dena. Michele and them got to meet my cousin Dena, which was awesome. But when Dena
She's
found out,
amazing. I'm just going to put that
Oh,
out.
yeah.
She is amazing. Okay, go ahead.
Dena's an absolute rock star. But let's not forget Susie, her sister Susie.
Oh,
Susie's my
wow.
cousin too.
Yes.
Yes, and Susie.
That's true.
Yes.
Did
you not?
Susie?
Yeah.
No, it
So
just didn't dawn on me till just this moment.
See, okay, now that's really going to get me in trouble because Susie jokes and teases all the time about like she's our family too, not just Dena. And Susie and Dena came to my mom's funeral, and when Dena was like, "You're going to be in Indiana," and I told her about the show, and I'm like, "This is a really amazing church that
Yeah.
puts on great shows. This would be a good show for you to come to." Dena had never
was
been to a
outreach.
comedy. Yeah, it was outreach to the community, totally
Yeah.
free. Dena had never been to a comedy show before, like ever.
Oh, wow.
And which is, I think, a great art form for the blind because it's basically storytelling. You know, they can't,
Mhm.
obviously, she couldn't see act outs and things like that, but true appreciation for humor and storytelling. And like, I mean, Dena's one of the funniest people I know, and her sister Susie as well. Hilarious. But anyway, when I said, you know, come to, oh, this is where I'll be, she's like, "Oh, yeah, I want to go." But is Michele performing? Like, she wanted to see you, not me. That's fine, Dena. That's fine. She wanted to see you. She wanted to see you.
Yeah, I
And
gotta say, it was just really awkward for her to be up on stage feeling my face while I was talking.
yes,
No,
Dena, we've got
that's
to
for
learn
you.
that
That
proper
was
etiquette. Yes. Yeah, Dena's one of the things which found I was doing comedy. She's like, "Do you do any blind jokes?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm working on it. I'm working on it." But our friend Chris Roop, it was hilarious because he did material about his parents who are deaf. And then
Yeah.
he starts like a second part of his bit about the blind.
Yeah.
And the second he started to do material about blind people, all my comedic friends looked over like, "Oh, he's getting ready to do jokes about the blind." And I'm like, "You don't know my family, dude. You don't know." Like, Dena had so much fun listening. But this is what good laugh support Michele is. Like, Michele knew all of these things. You knew the stuff I was going through. You could see, and I wasn't exactly like, "Hey, I'm great." I'm like, I'm struggling here. Like, I need, you know, whatever. And normally, not seeing each other as long as we've gone or whatever, we'd be running up, hugging, talking, da 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 da. But like, comedians just understand what other comedians are going through.
Yeah.
And no comedian was trying to get my focus. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was giving each other space to ease into the show the way that we needed to. So I
Yeah.
couldn't enjoy that show until I got my head together, got a breath, went up, did my set, felt good
Yeah.
about it, went to the back of the room, and now I was like, "Okay, here we go. Let's have fun." Because I
Yeah.
was excited to watch everybody else.
Yeah. So that took you just a few minutes that you had an opportunity to get focused. I was supposed to have a 9-hour trip to get focused. However, our 9-hour trip turned into 15 because we did stop at all these places.
Well,
And
Uranus is always distracting. It's, you know what I
well, there
mean?
okay, look, there was dinosaurs there. There was
Oh,
road signs. There was a lot of things there in Uranus, Missouri, and it's it's not its own town. It won't become its own town until they have a post office there, and it has to be someone that lives on the grounds or lives in the area. Oh, here's a fun little fact.
yes.
The history of Uranus. It used to be a strip club, like a strip joint, an adult entertainment
Oh,
area,
makes me feel
and
like home. My old childhood, right next
and
door
the
to the strip club. Yes.
and the township, they were shutting it down. Like they all this voting and all sorts of laws and whatever was going into place where it was going to have to close, and so the owner, instead of closing, so he shut down the strip club stuff, and then he created Fudge from Uranus. And I think it was just one of those kind of like, I'm still gonna do something. So he did.
So it went from exotic dancers to fudge.
Exotic
Like,
fudge.
even more
Yeah.
reason I'm never gonna stop there, Michele.
It is so good though.
And
It is the best.
cowtails.
It's so good. I'm just gonna put that. It's really, really good. It's a great place to go. Okay. So anyway, I had 15 hours to try to get ready for this show because I haven't been on stage in a while. And trying to get down, like that's one of the hardest things as a comedian. Like if you the last show I did was 60 minutes. It was a 45 to 60-minute show. So to get
Yeah.
all that material, or pick which part you're supposed to do for a 12-minute set,
Yes.
that messes with your head sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a lot of time to run through this. So poor Tina, we're talking in the car, we'll be talking about whatever, and then I'll just go into my bit because I'm just trying to like, oh yeah, that's a good.
Yes.
And she'll like, wait, are you doing a bit? I'm like, oh
Are you-
yeah, I'm
yeah.
sorry. She's like, next time just let me know when you're gonna start something so I know when I should laugh. And so because part of it was just conversation with her, and then like,
Yes.
oh yeah, I should add this. And so she's like, okay, when do I
Is
laugh?
this a
I'm like,
conversation or practice? What are we
yeah,
doing?
yeah,
What are
yeah. So it was and I so it was there was times I talked under my breath because I'm like, I'm just trying to run through it.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, what was that? Did you I'm like, oh no, I was just, so it would be interesting to ask her her perspective of the trip up.
Do you want to know though? Do you really want to know? I kind of
I
like.
do.
I
I do
don't know.
kind of want to know.
Here's
But
what I
our
thought
trip,
was good. Here's what I
yeah,
thought was good though is that we like I was with Rhonda on Thursday night, right?
yeah,
Picked him up. So I was with her basically Rhonda and Dory all day Thursday, and
yeah,
then spent the night Thursday night, and then show on Friday, spent the night Friday night, drove together on Saturday, did the show together Saturday night, but then Rhonda was in a hotel room. Like Dory had
mhm,
gone with some other people another direction. Then it was Dory, myself, you and Lesley Robb
yeah.
in an Airbnb, which was the cutest little cabin ever in Indiana.
Oh my gosh,
It was so adorable.
that bed was so high. You're the tallest person out
That's
of the
the
4 of us, and I'm
yes.
the shortest, and you gave me the highest bed.
I gave
And
you
I
the
think I left
highest
my
bed, but I didn't
mhm,
but it was weird steps, and I knew that, like, you've been riding in a car for a long time, and your legs were bothering you, and so but I slept on the couch in this cabin. We
yeah,
had a king size
the place I
bed.
could
We coulda
reach. I
shared a
could
bed.
yeah. I could reach that couch, that level, like, I
Yes.
just sit down, boom, there. I had to go get the kitchen chair. I had to drag it
Because
over to the bed
my
to
husband thought that
climb
was the
up.
funniest thing ever. I said she literally had to move a chair over to climb on a chair to climb onto the bed. Like, that makes my heart so happy. So tiny.
So my joke, like, "Oh, I repelled out of bed this morning," it really is true. It
Yes.
really is true. I'm so short, I repelled out of bed. Yeah, yeah. I had to mountain climb into that. Dory climbed into the bed, because she was practicing her set and I was taking a shower. So she wanted to have a spot to practice. I'm like, "Well, just go sit up on the bed." She she's like, "Oh my god, what is with this?" And she's I'm like, "I know."
I
She is
love a
secure
big tall
too.
bed. I mean I'm 5'9.5" and I would have had to climb up into that bed, but I really don't like when my husband's out of town. I sleep on
Yeah.
our couch. If I'm not in the bed with my husband, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Like I sleep on the couch and I'm just comfortable that way. I would stick my earbuds in and I would play sleep meditation music. I would take 2 melatonin gummies and I would just go to sleep. I slept so good in that little cabin, but it was good that we were all going in different directions because even
Yeah.
it's like my family, we love each other, but like 3.5 days into a vacation, something
Give
snaps.
give me space. Give me some space.
And
Yeah.
you gotta, and so we were constantly all going different directions. So it's not like we were in each other's back pocket the whole time, or one person had to, take care of another person or whatever. And so we all were together, but going different directions and then coming
Yeah.
back together. And it was a really cool experience, I think.
Definitely, definitely. And I have to say, like, if we could do it over again, I would have been like, okay, we need an extra day at this cabin, at this
Yeah.
or is it Airbnb? Is that what it is? Um,
Airbnb. Yeah.
Airbnb because it was beautiful. Like it was
Yeah.
just enough of the country of the woods that it needed to be. When you stepped out and looked up at the stars, you saw the stars. Like
Hmm.
it was just beautiful and peaceful.
Yes.
So I would
I took
have
that
liked
extra day. I took that
oh,
extra day. I actually
good.
ended up like renting the cabin another night because we were going to have to check out at like 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's
Dory
ridiculous.
was speaking at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
There was so much that would need to be done to wrap everything up. And I hadn't
Mhm.
had a lot of rest. It was my birthday the
It
day
was your
before.
birthday.
It was my
It's your
birthday, which was
birthday.
really
It's your
cool.
birthday.
Michelle decorated the cabin with all these cute and fun stuff, and I had all these sweet treats, and you bringing snacks was great because like there were snacks in our cabin, which normally, yes, I got
Behind
I
your
got a
shoulder.
Fozzie Bear. I got a Fozzie Bear gift from Michelle when she came to the funeral. And then, yeah, I'll show that real fast. Hang on, let me
Yeah,
lean back.
yeah, you gotta so this is what was so wonderful is we have a friend who's also a comedian, Eric Music, and, uh, um, and he, Earl Music, and he's a cartoonist. And
Yes.
so I pulled him aside And I said, hey, it's June's birthday. And is there any way that you could create a Fozzie Bear for her? Because that's her favorite
My
comedian.
favorite comedian outside of my daddy
And
hot dog and Reno
yep,
Collier. By the way, we need to have him on here one day. But number one, Reno
Reno.
Collier. Love him.
Okay.
Nashville. Super hilarious dude. But of all the comedians ever, the first one I fell in love with was Fozzie Bear. And look what he made. Yeah, look what Earl made. You see it?
Happy
It says,
birthday,
happy
June.
birthday, June.
Now, what you missed while you had your earbuds out, I called him Eric for a moment. Nope, it's Earl Music.
Earl, Eric. What are you talking about?
Eric.
You
Oh my God, and then
combined
Eric.
Earl and music, and you just made him one
Eric.
name. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I told my husband, I said, I'm
Earl.
exhausted. I can't I don't want to drive home tonight. I don't want to have to get up at 5 a.m. to clean this cabin and make all the women who are in the cabin feel like, oh, we got to help clean and, whatever. I'm like, I am going to enjoy this last day at the CCA, and then I'm going to go and take a nap, and I'm going to rest, and I'm going to enjoy just some quiet time. To which
That was good.
everyone called me that night, my family, because I hadn't got to talk to them. I ended up on the phone all night. I did watch Can't Buy Me Love, which is my favorite chick flick ever. And
Really?
then the next morning I got up and I said, I'm going to sleep in a little. I'm going to have a cup of coffee on the front porch of this little cabin. I'm going to have a quiet moment. I have my Bible out. I have my cup of coffee. And then I heard, and here comes a giant lawnmower. This dude with his ear things on. And then a truck comes flying down the gravel drive. Dudes are hopping out left and right. They got weed eaters. And Michele, trying to have my quiet moment, was like, okay, well, this is happening. I was wrapped in the top with a blanket. I want you to see the pants I had on. I had these yoga pants on. Okay. Which is, I know how much you love my wacky patterns. All right.
Yep.
These are my yoga pants, but what socks did I have on with these amazing pants? Why, the gift Michele got me. Okay. So this is my sexy combination for the folks who are listening. Y'all, my yoga pants are black with hot pink animal print looking something on it. And then my socks were leopard print with sticky bottoms and fuzzy tops that Michele gave me. So
what shirt did you wear?
I think I had the CCA retreat shirt on, which had black and yellow polka dots all over it. So black and yellow polka dots, hot pink pants with leopard print fuzzy socks, sitting on the front porch, just trying to have a moment. And that's what those lawnmower dudes rolled up to. Was me sitting there with that. And I didn't even move. I just sipped on my coffee. I was like, good morning. I'm going to finish this Bible verse in my crazy outfit. They did not get anywhere near me when I was taking my stuff out to the truck. I'm sure they were just like, I don't even know who or what this woman is. But that was my quiet. I'm like, I can't even get a quiet moment in a cabin in the woods without an entire yard crew showing up and weed eating around the steps that I'm trying to walk across to load my vehicle.
So that's what you need to do for your family vacation, is you need to send them on vacation, and then you need to go to a different place so you can just have a quiet moment. And then you don't tell anybody where you're going. And then, you get in the car, go to the airport, and then you turn around while everybody else is gone and come back to your own house.
And just go home and sit by my pool. I have to ask you, Michele, the clip in your hair.
Yeah.
I keep looking at it. What is going on with this? What's that?
Okay.
What's
so
happening?
this beautiful clip here, it's very colorful, very bright.
Yes, it is.
This, when I returned home from the trip, my son he returned from Uganda a few days prior to me returning. And so he gave me that this year. And then this one for the back of my hair. And then check it out. This beautiful bag, right? Beautiful pattern bag. And because a few years ago when he went to Zambia, he brought back this purse for me, this over the shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Color.
So everything Michele's pulling out is just super bright and vibrant colors with multiple patterns. And it would have gone really good with my socks and my
yes.
pants.
Yes, it would have. It would have. And this headband, he came from Zambia. And so, yeah, so he was doing a missions trip. They were working with Project for Orphans, I think, or Orphan Project.
Yes.
And so they were out doing, all that stuff down there. He was there for a month. And his last week or the last couple of days, they worked with, I think it's called Miracle Center or Miracle Church or something along those lines. And so I got to see him online. It was so exciting. So before I went to the conference, I got to watch my son because of
Yes.
the internet. I got to
Yeah.
see him introduce his team and go through all the stats and whatever. And then his team came up and did the service. Like they had different people do different parts. Some worked with they were on the music part, some were on the skits, some, it was amazing. And then at the very end, no, it was in the middle of the service somewhere, the pastor of the church came up, invited the whole team up, and prayed over all of them.
Oh, yeah.
So that was just beautiful. Anyway, so this clip, I was just representing my son coming back from Uganda. So that's what that is.
Yeah, I saw that right before Dory and Rhonda came here, and you were showing your son in Uganda, and then Dory's daughter had just finished her
Yes.
her schooling to be a
midwife.
A midwife, right? So she could go on mission trips and help deliver babies and all of that stuff. And Trey, my son, was helping me clean up in the kitchen before people got here. And I was like, listen, buddy, okay, Michelle's got people in Uganda, and Rhonda's son helps her with her show, and Dory's daughter loves the Lord, and she's delivering babies in Africa. And so just say something about Jesus when they're here, okay? Okay, and not about the next tattoo you're gonna put on your chest. Like you do that for mommy one time, okay? He just shake his head. He's just like,
he's like, so I can't walk around and show off my tattoos? What do you mean?
No. He's more, yeah.
You can't hide God's masterpiece. So.
That's right. That's right. He's just displaying the wonderful works of the Lord. Is what he's doing.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, no, it was a really cool trip. You were talking about praying as we left the Christian Comedy Association's retreat. Yeah. We were able to pray with people and pray over people, spend time with people that we had just met for the first time, and be with people we hadn't seen for a long time. So I know it was a lot on the road. I'm so glad that you and Tina were able to make that journey together.
The trip home was a lot faster. I'm just saying.
I bet it was. Yes.
Yeah.
It always is. It always is. You weren't going to talk her back into Uranus again, right?
No. We stopped
once you've
somewhere.
Been once.
Yeah. It was good. We stopped off, I think, in O'Fallon and stayed overnight there. And then because the conference, the retreat didn't end until the afternoon.
Yeah.
We were going to stay in Franklin overnight and then leave first thing in the morning. We're like, no, let's get on the road.
Just
head as far as we can, get a spot there, and then go the next day. So that's what we did. And it was wonderful. And I didn't have to tell her about the speed traps and all that through Missouri. She remembered. So I just got to enjoy the trip back, and we just chatted and talked about you, because we talked about everything. Yeah. We talked about everything and upcoming shows. And here's the beautiful thing. Watching you, June, go from losing your mom, and then you had so many shows coming up right after that. The grace that was upon you to do all of those shows, because I remember when my mom died, just all those firsts that happened, it could really pull you out of your center. But hopefully this will encourage any comedians that are listening that even though tragedy happens, even though death happens, and we as comedians are bringers of joy, those tragedies, they don't have to steal our joy or our ability to bring joy still.
Right.
We end up walking with a bigger grace upon us to do what we're called to do. So just be encouraged. It does get better. It does. And make sure that if you're going through a tragedy right now in your own life, that you find people that can come alongside you and be your laugh support, be someone that will just come sit in the room with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to say anything. Just come sit in the room with somebody and just let them know that you're there, that you're there, that they're not alone on this journey. You guys are not alone on this journey. And
Right.
if you feel like you don't have anybody, you guys can reach out to us. I mean, we do have
Absolutely.
the email or something. Here, I'll put it up. The
The
laughs up.
laughs up at gmail.com. The laugh sup, S-U-P, the laugh sup at gmail.com. Yes, definitely reach out to us. So send us an email.
Yeah.
Let us know what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. If you tell us what you don't like about the show, make it funny so we can read it and talk about you. That would be great. I would love for you to do that. No, when I shared about my mom passing away, I talked about how God gave me this beautiful dream about her legs being healed. And I
Mhm.
could tell you, before I went to the CCA, I got to have another dream where I was walking to a door with my mom, and there was a figure at the door that looked like Jesus, and to me, and I was going to a party, and I tried to get my mom to come in with me, and she said, "No, sissy, this is as far as I can go. You need to go
Wow.
on to the party." And I knew that was another way of
Wow.
God comforting my heart and saying, because my mom was, I talked about it in that episode. My mom was the first person to the birthday party. She loved a party. She was sitting at the head of the table waiting for someone to deliver a piece of cake. Right. And in this dream, I was ready to go to another
Mm.
party with her. And she gave me, that, like, go ahead,
Permission.
like, you've
Yeah.
got that permission to move on and go. And I know my mom absolutely was so proud of, who I am and what God's doing with me. And in the rehab center, she basically had people thinking that I was some rich, famous comedian that flew in on a private jet every other day to spend time with her. And I'm like, it
Well,
ain't
you do
all that,
drive
people.
fast enough. You do
I
drive fast enough that it is kind of like flying in.
This is
So,
true. This is
she
true. I
is
flew
right.
right
She is
there.
right.
But we finally had the opportunity to do a show together, and just so
Yes.
you know, the pastor of the church there, they rock it out with the audience, and they have them there prepared and ready to have a great time. And I really believe everybody
It
had
was so
such
good.
good sets that night. The
Oh my
audience
gosh.
made
So
it
good.
a great show, and it was an absolute honor and pleasure to finally get to do a show with you after all of these years, Michele, and I hope that we get to do some soon. But hey, y'all, listen, make sure that you're checking out our podcast. Give us likes, thumbs up, whatever platform that it's on. Give us a star, give us a rating of, absolutely amazing and awesome.
Mhm.
If you're listening and you would like to see the episodes, if you want to see those amazing pants and those fuzzy socks that Michele gave me, and that cool hair clip and all the stuff that Michelle's sons brought back to her, you can see us on the Creative Motion Network on Roku TV, on Vimeo, or you can watch us on our YouTube channel. So that's going to be it for this this very fashionable episode of the Laugh Support Podcast, as Michele clips a pigtail in the front of her head with a green hairband. I think it's time for us to go. All right, that's it for us. Jesus and Junebug loves you. Tell them goodbye, Michele.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening.